Jemima in the
mirror.
In the mirror. Ha So let's just change.
Hello.
Here is Chloe, guys. She's joining me today. No, we've still got Jemima. Jemima wasn't meant to be in, but maybe
If I sit here,
you block her. That's it. Then you're kind of
you're covered.
Don't move, though, Jemima. No, joking. I stupidly went press live when I just had a mini cheddar in my mouth, so sorry about that. But we have got Chloe here with me today because I'm going to be making her the Marni, which is this. But we'll just wait for a few of you to fill in and join in the live before we go into too much detail. But maybe whilst we're waiting, we could talk about what we're wearing. I am wearing the Drew hoodie. It's dress down day at Sew Over It today, because the Drew hoodies come out as a pattern on its own, as well as the Ellis. Previously, you could only get it if you were a premium subscriber, Rosie. This is correct. But now you can buy this just as a pattern, and it is unisex. So yeah, so I've got this on. And what have you got on, Chloe?
Yeah, I've gone rogue. I've not dressed down.
You're not doing dressing down. She's doing dressing up. She didn't get the memo.
Well,
it's not your fault.
I'm always dressed down because I'm usually just packing the orders. So I thought
You're going live to the world, Chloe.
Yeah, I wanted to.
Yeah, dress up. Fair dues.
I'm wearing my Una dress.
It's lovely. I love how you've styled it, and it's showing that you can really wear your Una dress cross seasons.
Yeah, so I've got it on with tights today and boots. Oh, sorry, Jemima. And yeah,
tights and boots. Really nice. Nice plain black top. Fab.
Yeah.
So I think Rosie's already said that she's there. So Rosie is there to answer your questions as always. And Chloe, will you be joining in on the chat afterwards?
Yes, I will.
Wonderful. So this is in our little autumn series that Sewalongs, where I'm making things for the team. Last week, since I am in the team, I made something for me. I made the Jessie Cardigan, and actually I finished it and popped it up on my Instagram yesterday. So at Lisa Comfort, if you want to see that. Yes, so this week I'm making something for Chloe, and she has decided on the Marni. So the Marni cardigan, yeah, cardigan. No, cardigan. Just because I'm thinking of Jessie. So why did you choose that?
Well, I wanted something nice and cosy for the sort of autumn winter weather, and I thought this cardigan, because it's a longer version, it could just be worn with so many different things. So as you can see, I've got the Una dress on today. I do like to wear a dress. And so I like to layer things.
That's like me. Cardigans are the way to segue dresses through into colder weather, aren't they?
But I often find like a shorter cardigan, like it doesn't always work with all my dresses. Whereas if you have a longer one, I think that silhouette tends to work better.
And you can wear it with a belt or...
Yes. And then you can also wear it over jeans, and it can kind of elevate an outfit, even though you're still wearing just a cosy jumper.
Exactly, yep. So
I feel like it will get a lot of wear. And I do have a similar style, the longer length cardigan, and I've worn it over the Nicole dress before.
Yes, really seen that styling video. Yeah.
It's like burgundy. So I just know that it's going to fit into my wardrobe, and yeah, I'll get lots of wear out of it.
Perfect. I can see people are saying hi. Hi everyone. Hi Laurianne. Hope some of you will be sewing along with us today. So let's talk about size. So what size are we making today?
Okay, so we've cut out a size 16.
Okay.
Which is not my usual size, actually. So my measurements are a 44, 39, 44.
Oh, very good like ratio there.
Is
then.
it?
Yeah, well, because you like bust and hip is even. So like 44, then 39.
Yeah, 40,
yeah, very hourglass. Yeah. Okay.
So in Sew Over It sizes, that means I'm usually between an 18 and a 20.
And what tips you? Is it things with the bust or things with the hips?
It's more the bust.
The bust.
Yeah, that's what I usually tend to have the. I have to just. Usually what I do is I'd do a full bust adjustment.
Yeah.
But often, so I'd be in our patterns the bigger size range, which is from a different bust.
Yeah, it's a different cup size, the extended size range, exactly. Yeah. So you can use the 18 and then it's got the bigger bust, which I think Rosie also finds that easier because it's got a fuller
and then
cup.
I just have to usually take something on the shoulders, and around here tends to have a lot of fabric, so I just take it in.
Yeah, so that's just that classic example of when like, you know, obviously it's hard for when we're grading, you've got to kind of make things kind of standardise, but there's that, you know, obviously you've got a full bust, but it doesn't mean you've got broader shoulders. So that's why you often have that. And I think that's quite a common adjustment and an annoying one for people to have to make.
Yeah, but I was put off by it, as in I hadn't tried doing one before for quite a long time, and I'd just sort of make the item and then just like take bits in here and there to make it fit. But then actually, after following, there's loads of tutorials, especially on Stitch School, for different.
I was really worried you were going to say somewhere else. I was like,
no, because
Chloe.
No, on Stitch School for the different types of bodice, because it's different darts. But actually, there's so many tutorials. All you have to do is just make sure you just find the right one.
Yeah.
And actually, it's not that hard.
Yeah.
You're literally just making like 3 cuts and then just pulling it out.
That's a really good tip as well.
It, really.
If you haven't, because you can buy those tutorials for £3, so even if you're not a member, you can look up what you need, and that sounds like it's an invaluable resource.
Yeah.
Invaluable, is that the right? Yes, it is the right word.
I think so,
Yeah.
But yes, it's just about finding the right one for where the dart placement is. Really,
Yes, perfect. Okay. And then you find that...
but it makes such a difference, because like with the Nicole shirt dress, which probably seen online, we wear quite a lot.
Yeah.
Like I always thought that I was avoided in ready to wear stuff anything with buttons down the front, because with the fuller bust it was always gaping or the buttons would come undone. But if you actually, like with the full bust adjustment, get something to fit, it's amazing.
Do you put all your makes up on Instagram?
Yes, I do.
So what's your Instagram? Let's tell everyone.
Chloe likes to sew.
Chloe likes to sew, spelled Chloe, CHLOE.
Yes.
Yeah, just because some people aren't English, and I think that's always good to spell that name. Fab. So I hope, as we did with Alma, we're going to try, and when we do these sew-alongs with someone else here, we're going to try and talk more about their individual fitting issues and why they choose things.
But actually, we haven't gone for a full bust adjustment for this one.
Of course, we don't need to. So that's another great reason to do
this cardigan, because it doesn't have any closing, and I probably won't even. It's
the
just
only,
to drape around the shoulders, really.
Yeah, I mean, the only thing is, what might happen is because that's a longer distance, that might be shorter at the front. You might find that, but it's a bit like when I was doing maternity stuff. What I often did is at the centre front, I would add length to the centre front hem to get over the bump. Yeah, but that's maybe, I don't know if that would work, whether we'll see, but it probably won't be that much. Because also it kind of like, it might collect kind of here, the cardigan, rather than over the bust.
And I really want it to go over my dresses, and so I can actually layer it maybe under my coat and everything. So I've gone for the smaller size, because it's Ponte, because it's a stretch one, and there is quite a lot of give in the pattern. Yeah,
I'd go size down definitely
I
on
wanted
this.
It a closer fit.
Yeah.
On the arms.
So that's good to know. So you're doing and just so everyone knows on your kind of level of sewing, Chloe, what kind of level of sewing would you say you are?
I'd say a confident beginner.
Confident beginner. Okay, that's good to know. So you can then check out her Instagram and see what she's making as a confident beginner. So you would have tackled this by yourself.
Yeah, I would give this a go, definitely,
Amazing. Okay, good to know. I had another question. Oh yeah, last one. Why did you start sewing?
Well, I did textiles at school, and I really liked it.
Yeah.
But then I just didn't carry it on. But I've always liked knitting and quilting and
soft crafts.
Yeah. And so I've sort of come back to it later in life.
Nice.
And I think especially as I've got older, and I'm a bit more confident in my style, and I want things to fit nicely. That's why I've really come back to it.
Yeah, I think you basically aren't following the trends so much when you're older. So you want things. Well, actually, no, it was that dress in the early noughties that really suited my figure and my style, and that's what I want to keep making. Yeah,
because there's items in my wardrobe that I've had for years now that maybe don't quite fit anymore, or they're just too old. And but I really want to keep wearing that. So you can now make it.
Yeah. Wonderful. Right, okay, so Chloe's going to go and chat on the live now, and I'm going to start sewing.
Yeah.
Let's hope that I don't mess this up for you, Chloe. I feel worried that I'm going to get a bit hot. But anyway, guys, I hope you found that interesting, listening to Chloe talk about that. And when I have Jemima and Rosie join me for the other future ones that we're going to do, I'll be also talking to those, asking them about those things, because I think it's just the more we all share what we do helps us all understand how we might tackle fitting issues or various things. So it's always really good, because we feel like until now we've really just had me doing things and talking about things, but I'm pretty standard, so I don't have to do those alterations, so it's not very useful to talk about that. Let's get started. Now there is another Marni Sewalong already that Alma did. I think that's the one Sewalong that Alma did. So I was trying to kind of get ahead and do other things so that I could miss what she started with. So I've kind of done that a little bit. So I'll show you where I'm up to. But yeah, so potentially you've got the option of watching this with Alma or with me. And hopefully there won't be too much overlap. So I've already done one pocket, and that's the kind of front panel piece that's got the pocket. What are these pockets called? Are they bucket pockets? Or have I made that up, Rosie?
I think you made that up.
I've made that up.
Well, let's run with it. I think that's what they are.
A bucket pocket. I don't think it's very flattering though, is it? Okay, if anyone wants to come up with a better term for these pockets, please do. And one thing I had a question for Chloe is, what would you prefer me to do? Would you prefer me to understitch the pocket or top stitch it? And so we talked about that, because this sample has been top stitched and I explained how I prefer understitching. But if the fabric was quite thick and wasn't going to press well, I would say you probably should do the top stitching, because that will crisp up the top edge of the pocket. But this is pressed really nicely, this Roma Ponte. I'd love to say we've got loads of this, but we haven't at the moment, but we will be reordering it. It's our kind of, we've had this in stock, this Ponte, for years and years and years, because we just love it. In fact, it's the same quality as what my puddy is. So, so that one's done, but I thought I could do this one with you. Definitely going to get too hot during this, I think. So this is already what I've done. So I've basically joined the pocket bag to the lower panel, and then now I've got the upper panel, which has got the other sort of grown on pocket bag on the end of that, and I'm going to place them right sides together like so. Maybe if I push this back a bit and I chop off my head a little bit more, I'll show you. No, you can't see me at all then. Always have a few issues, don't we? There we go. So you need to make sure that this is frustrating, but it's a bit confusing, because it hasn't got a right side and a wrong side, an obvious right side and wrong side, and so I need to make sure that I am doing a pair. So it's fine because I've already done the pair, but just remember that if you are, when you're doing yours, if you've not got an obvious right side and wrong side, there is still a pair here that you need to do. It's this piece that you're going to get confused with. So I'm just going to line up the notches, and I am going to take this hoodie off. Oh my goodness. I've got an M&S thermal top underneath. Not a good idea. These thermal tops are amazing. I often wear them. I mean, it's not really cold yet in the UK, but I wear them underneath all my jumpers in the winter because they just keep me so warm. But we're not for today. I think it's also all this hair, this extra hair that I now have. Keeps me hotter. So we're just pinning around the curved of the bit of the bag, and you've got some notches there to help you line up. So use those. Make sure you don't accidentally stretch anything. Who is sewing as they're watching? Let's see what everyone's doing today. Are people just having a nice cup of tea and a little lunch break? Morning coffee probably for some of you. Or evening. Sitting watching this in bed for those of you in Australia. I'm going to just start sewing this. The important thing to remember is you mustn't start sewing it. Oh, you're making a true bias Marlowe. I can't think what that is. Just watching. Oh, that's nice, Pauline. We've got to not stitch up to here. we basically just got to stitch, so where the seam allowance is, we're going to sort of start just a little bit below there so that we can finish the pocket. So starting there and finishing on the other side in the same position. Okay. Seam allowance 1.5 centimetres, 5/8 of an inch. I've got a an extension lead on the bottom and I keep pressing it thinking it was the foot pedal. Oh, recovering from surgery. I hope you get better soon, Anne, and you make a speedy recovery. Hope you still enjoy watching this even if you're not sewing. Right, I should say that my stitch length is 3. So I'm not using a zigzag stitch on this because I don't need this fabric to stretch, plus it's ponty. If the fabric was more stretchy, I might use zigzag on some of the seams because it will help stretch. Oh!
Sorry.
Ah! That was my voice coming back then, so that'd be a most distracting noise to listen to. Chloe's just watching it and she didn't have the volume down. Oh, you can easily pluck up the courage to work on stretch fabric. So I didn't catch your name there, but ponty is the best fabric to start with because it doesn't stretch that much. I always used to recommend, we used to teach our ultimate wrap dress, which is a simplified version of our Meredith wrap dress. And I used to teach that as a beginner to knits back in the day in Clapham, because it was working with knit fabric, but really much easier knit fabric. The things that make it hard are really thin. This is tricky to work with. This is really tricky. I absolutely love this viscose knit, and unfortunately the suppliers stopped selling it, but it is very fiddly and I would not be doing a sew along using that. I've learned my lessons about doing sew alongs that are very, very tricky live. So almost getting to the end, so I'm stopping before I get to the seam allowance. Okay, and then I'm just going to trim those off. So that's the front piece that's now kind of finished, that's now sort of joined as one. And just to give you context, what happens now is that bit drops down to the bucket pocket. So what we're going to do first is we're going to do some pressing. So I'm going to press. Oh, I've done that already. Yeah, I thought I would need to press that down. Okay, I'm not going to do that then. I'm going to press it this way. So I'm going to, can you see what I'm doing here? Yes. So I'm going to lay this flat like that, and then get that flat there. And then I'm going to fold that back, and then you want to roll it so that if you've understitched it or top stitched, to be honest, it's going to be doing that anyway now, but just make sure that if you have understitched, you're just rolling it so that you really don't see that seam. And then I did have a piece of viscose just to use as a pressing cloth because this potentially will leave marks if I press onto it directly. And then I'm just going to steam. Is there steam on? No, there we go. Steamy, steamy. Come on. Maybe he's not turned on. What's happened to him? He's on there. He says he's charging. Let's just wait a second. Whilst we wait, one thing I wanted to ask is the ironing board is not good. I think somebody just said that. It's not a good one. It is from IKEA, and I wouldn't say it's a good one. However, my one, if you remember the one that I used for last week's, is from John Lewis, and it's so good. It's really, really wide, and it's not made of metal, so you don't get those indentations of the metal mesh. It's made of plywood or MDF or something, so it's really, really good. I think it was £60, but it was definitely worth it, given that, you know, I'm not just ironing for ironing's sake, I'm making clothes because it's also wider. So that's nicely pressed. So now what I'm going to do is just pin those layers together because we need to machine tack that pocket into position now. So you've got a notch again there. So we're just pinning down the sides, this bit here and this bit there. I've lost my train of thought. What were we talking about? I was going to ask you something, wasn't I? Oh yeah. We would love to know, so obviously we're doing this series of sew-alongs and that will basically take us to maybe the end of November, I don't know. Will it, Rosie?
That's it.
Yeah, two more, yeah. So we'll do a couple more and then obviously it's Christmas and we're all very busy. But then we thought you might like us to come back and do more sew-alongs in January and February and do another little series. But maybe you could tell us in the comments, and if you're watching this after the live, please do still comment and tell us, what would you like as a sew-along? Is there a pattern that we have not yet done that you really want us to do? And what type of sew-alongs do you enjoy? This new type of sew-along where we're having a bit more of a chat and talking about fit and body shape and sizes and level and fabric and things? Or do you want one that's just spent the whole time me sewing, talking you through that? Let me know, let us know. Pop it in the comments now or afterwards whenever you're watching it. Okay, so I'm now going to sew over. I always think it's so funny when I say sew over it with a long stitch length. So I'm going to machine tack this. I'm going to do it at about 1 centimetre and I'm going to sew over the top of the pocket. So make sure that that's really held down now. You've got to be careful that it doesn't push it back. Okay, so we've got to the end of where the pocket is there, so I can just take that out. I feel like I need to turn that so you can see it a bit more clearly. And then I'm just going to do the same on the other side. So that when we sew the side seams together, which happens after you've put the sleeves in, because the sleeves are put in flat, so then you do kind of the underarm of the sleeve and the side seams all in one go. You're not having to worry about them all, those layers moving. It's nice just to have it all there done. So what we're going to do now is we are going to join the back and the front pieces at the shoulder seams. So Chloe's already put a stabilising interfacing on here. So I'm just going to place that right sides together. So that's with that side. And there is a notch there. Okay, and then I'll get the other one and place that right sides together, and like so. I think I saw one, someone said they'd like the longer ones. 2-part series ones. Yeah, we haven't done those in a while where we get a bit more done. Someone else say Dahlia? Dahlia coat? Dahlia. So yeah, keep the suggestions coming. I've pinned both of those right sides together. So now we're going to make sure we put our stitch length back to 3.5. Very easy not to do that. Not 3.5, 3. And we're going to stitch the shoulder seams with a seam allowance of 1.5 centimetres. So if I am not seeing some of your comments, the team are definitely making a note of what you're saying. So Sorry if I'm missing any of your comments, but that's great. Keep them coming in. Say what you want. Because at the end of the day, we're here for you. We're doing what you want us to do. So tell us what's helpful. Okay. And then this side. Chloe, did you do my cotton tape? That's all right. So we just need to, so we need to cut the cotton tape. So ideally, if you just, I can do it, it's fine.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I'll do it with them. Have we got any cotton tape? Not actually the
sorry,
the non-stretchy one, so it's a little bit more stable. So for stabilising the neckline and for the top of the pockets, we've used the interfaced tape. But I'm going to suggest for the shoulders that we use cotton tape. So I think we recommend using a ribbon or something, but perfect, that's great, thank you. And this just helps it to, stops it from distorting. Ta, thank you. I'll work that out, that's fine, I think. Is the pattern for the back there?
yes.
No,
That's the neckband.
that's not fun. What have I put done with them?
What's this one? Oh, that's sleeves.
Yeah, I've got the back piece, I just need the pattern piece ideally.
Oh, I might have connected it up actually.
So basically, I mean, we could use the fabric to, you know, measure the length. The idea is that you take the length off the pattern in case the fabric has stretched or distorted, because then if it has, you can use the tape just to ease it back in. So we're going to put it onto the back side, the back seam allowance. So I'm just going to press that open to make that easier. Perfect, thank you. So we're going to put it onto the seam allowance there. So what I'm going to do, I've got the pattern here. So I'm just going to cut it to the length of that shoulder seam, edge to edge. There we go. And then I can use this one to make the other one. There we go. Oh no. Okay, so then we're just going to stitch that on. Probably will pin it because I want to make sure that I don't accidentally stretch it. Close to the stitching, pretty much on top of that, because that's where you're trying to stabilize. Yeah, and I can see it's slightly trying to stretch, so it's really useful having this on because it's not going to be stretching anymore once this bad boy is on. Right, and then we're just going to run a stitch through the middle of that. Make sure you reverse the beginning. And if you pin like I have, so my pins are going up towards the needle, so parallel rather than a crossways, it holds down more of the tape and also easy to take out. How are we doing for time? We're halfway through, we're doing okay. I want to try and get to the sleeves. I think I'm going to, because I've got to do that after this. Okay, we'll take the next one and just do the one on the other side. So coming up in the series, we have got Jemima, who is going to, she wants me to make her a Nancy dress, and Rosie, a Roxy jumper. I feel like Roxy really gets forgotten. I mean, I know that's bound to happen when we've got about 180 patterns, but I wanted to make a Roxy out of that lovely sweatshirt fabric, which is now back in stock. Ooh, could we get a link to that? The rose one. So we've got this gorgeous French terry, and I selfishly ordered it because I was like, oh my gosh, I'd love to make a Roxy out of that. And then I completely forgot.
It will come soon.
It's coming soon. The link's coming soon. And I was really keen to make a Roxy out of it. And then it sold out in the sale that we had at the weekend. It's all gone, but I've managed to get some more back in, which is I'm very happy about, and I shall be cutting myself off an amount before. But I'll be looking forward to seeing what Rosie chooses for her fabric. So this, interestingly, this side has stretched a little bit more. I've had to do a bit more easy peasy lemon squeezy, easing it in. It's not as, so it's good. So I'm going to keep those pins in for the maximum amount of time that I can. Oopsie daisy. There we go. Right, we'll trim those off. And now we can pop the sleeves in. And cut that off. Yeah, so if anybody knows of any good British suppliers that have like a lovely soft merino viscose kind of knit like this, do let us know. Because yeah, I'm really hoping to find something like that so I can make one for me in something really snuggly and soft. But Alma's was made in the rose pink version of this, and it works perfectly as well. So yeah, Ponte is a really nice, easy option. Right, sleeve. So sleeves, right sides together. So I'm just going to take one, and I generally pin one sleeve and then the other one. So they've got a sleeve head notch there. So I'm going to pin this one, stitch it, sorry I should have said that, and then I'll pin and stitch the other one, because otherwise I just feel that sometimes the pins fall out. So I'm pinning from the sleeve side, and I'm making sure that when we're hitting the shoulder seam, I've lined up that sleeve head notch with the shoulder seam, but I'm also putting a pin either side of the notch so that it keeps that seam pressed open. And then I'm going to pin one side and then the other side. So I've got a single notch there to mark the front. And then I'll pin where it meets the side seam there, the underarm. And then I'll just fill in maybe one more pin in between there and another pin in between here. Gosh, I really need to get my eyes tested. I haven't had my eyes tested since before lockdown. Gosh, yeah, that's crazy, isn't it? Long time. And I can really notice that I'm squinting now. I think I've been putting it off because I don't want my prescription to change. And I'm meant to just wear my glasses for when I'm a bit tired, but I think I'm getting into territory of older age. I think from the age of 40, your eyesight just deteriorates. Whoever you are, I think. But it's fine. I'm going to rock glasses like they're an accessory. Maybe I'll go to somewhere like Specsavers and get two. I've always thought maybe a nice red glass. So I saw someone who had red glasses, and like not like kind of like clown red, but like kind of a subtle red. And they looked lovely. I thought, given that I wear red lipstick, that could suit me. Right, I've got a bit of easing that I've got to do here. Can you see there? The sleeve is just a bit too big. So I'm going to have to ease that in. Now, in a woven fabric, we do easing with stitching because it's too hard to do it with your fingers. But with a knit fabric, you can easily ease it in, because the fabric stretches and is easy to manipulate and get it to where you need it to be. are wonderful. It's just gone up there. The fabric that I would like. Please don't buy it all before I've got to put mine aside. In fact, maybe Jemima, we could take a metre off. Ready? How's that? Because I was meant to do that before and I forgot. But yeah, have a look at it. It's gorgeous. I just think it's so pretty, and it's a French terry. And we're going to have 2 more French terries. We've got a black French terry coming and another black with a print, like a kind of space galaxy vibe. I think, Rosie, you might like. Yeah, ooh, her ears pricked up and she came out from the side of the computer then. Yeah, so yeah, we've got some nice fabrics about to come in. You've cleared us out after our sale at the weekend. Oh, still lock stitching, are you? There we go. So we're using stitch length, stitch length still 3, seam allowance 1.5 centimetres or 5/8 of an inch, and we'll stitch this side and then we'll go and stitch the other side and pin the other side as well. And I think, you know, given we're doing very well, it shows you how quick it is to come up. The fiddliest bit I find, which is really frustrating because I'm not going to be able to have time to do it, but is the neckband. But in a ponte, it's not fiddly. But in that fabric, it definitely, or viscose knit, it really is, because it can stretch and distort. And what you've got to be careful of is that you sew in the same direction. So you go down that side and down that side, because you can get dragging otherwise. And if they're in the opposite directions, it would look really obvious. So I'm really sorry, Chloe, but I'm leaving you with the hardest bit. But to be honest, in terms of showing you guys what to do, it's not, there's nothing hard about the construction. It's just the way that you're holding and dealing with the fabric on the machine. So it actually wouldn't translate well into a video. Not this style. It would if it was on Stitch School when we've got close-ups and things. But in this style, I think it's more beneficial to cover more of the construction, because you can see it take shape. And you know, I like to give context. That's one of my favourite things to do in these sew-alongs. So it helps you understand why you're doing things. So that is done. I wonder, actually, should we just do that side? Let's do that side now, because we're on that side. Let's finish that side, and so I can definitely get an underarm seam stitched. So right sides together. I'm starting at the end of the sleeve there, and I'm going to pop a pin in there. Then I'm going to pop a pin in where the notch is here, and then also a pin in when we get to the sleeve seam, also where the sleeve is attached. All those seam allowances I'm folding down towards the bodice, and then we've got another notch just below the underarm, sort of level with where, say, bust start would be, and then we've got the notch just above the pocket, or out level with the pocket. And obviously when you're at the pocket, you need to make sure that, yeah, it should all be fine because you've done that machine tacking, but just make sure it's all those layers are pinned together and they're not misbehaving. Okay, and then all the way to the hem. Now this is the loveliest fabric ever, because there is no distortion and none of this is stretched, so it's all lining up perfectly with all of those balance notches, which is great. So balance notches are basically not when you're, because you have a notch when you're lining something up, so say it's the top of the pocket with a notch or something like that, but when you've got like a plain seam and it's just a notch in the middle of it and it's not lining anything other than the notch up with a notch, they're balance notches, and they're there to make sure you're not stretching things. If you've got a really long seam that you're pinning together, you pop a notch in it, then you make sure you don't stretch the beginning and not the end, or yeah, keeps it balanced. Okay, so that is now pinned all the way down. That's a long seam. So we'll start at the sleeve. We're going to use the seam allowance of 1.5 centimetres, 5/8 of an inch. And we'll do a little reverse. And I'll just sew down that. So VIPers, you had a lovely little treat on Monday. Those of you that haven't joined our VIP club, might be a bit late to join it now for the year. Although, to be honest, it's always worthwhile because you get a free pattern, and all our patterns are at least £11, 50. So you get that extra, and it's £10 to join. But our VIP has got an amazing 50% off sale on Monday. They get 2 sales a year for 24 hours. And yeah, so it was nice to see some of you stocking up on your patterns, get you through the autumn. Yep, a walking foot would definitely help with dragging. It would help, yeah. And we're actually working on something at the moment for the next VIP club. We want to go bigger and better and give even more value to our VIPers next year. So we are working on something very special. So everything that you're getting now, you'll still get, but we're going to get more. We're going to bring back that 10% discount for you for the first week. And we're also going to have a exclusive pattern just for you guys, and you'll still be able to choose your free pattern. So we're giving you even more as a thank you for being so lovely all of these years. We feel like you've become VIP VIPs. So we'll be talking about that more in December, but just saying that's something we're working on. We've got our next photo shoot coming up in November. So we're busy sorting out. Rosie and I have been choosing fabrics today. For that, always a nice job. But we've got our lovely models booked, and yeah, we've got a lot to sew. Rosie and I do our sample sewing mainly for these Sewalong, the photo shoots. So we both. Oh, I wondered what had happened there. Something snapped. Oh yeah, it snapped. Strange. The thread just snapped. Thank goodness it didn't snap earlier. I was like, oh, it stopped sewing that bit. So yes, new sample. So we'll basically, what we do on our photo shoots is we bulk things together to make it really worthwhile, especially because we like to book a makeup artist. So to make it affordable, we try and do 3 things at once, so 3 months worth. So we're going to be shooting things for the start of next year. Ooh. But we've got some gorgeous patterns for next year. Oh, yeah, you'd think with all the wonderful patterns we have, we wouldn't get excited about more, but we do. I'm so excited. And I think also because you change what you want in your wardrobe and things, and I guess you never get tired of buying clothes, if those of you that buy lots of clothes. So it's the same thing. It's always nice to have new things to get excited about sewing. Okay, so that's that side, all done. So what's going to be nice is we're going to be able to have a little try on, Chloe. Woo! Not how much time? All right, I'll try and do my other side.
Okay.
I'm going to put the sleeve on, and then you can try it on. That's probably where we're going to stop. But I'm pleased that I got all of that done for you, because then there's less sewing for you. You've just basically got to do the hems and the neckline. Yeah. Okay. So, press that open. Me. Where are you going? Need to make sure that you've got your sleeve the right way round. Again, if you're using a fabric like I am that has not got an obvious right side and wrong side, but the notches in the back and the 2 notches in the back of the sleeve will help you sort that out. We've also got, so we've got coming up, what else have we got coming up I want to tell you about? I'll try not to spill all our secrets. We've got something very different for Christmas coming up, actually. And in fact, are we going to run that on our mailing list, Rosie? Or are we running it on Instagram, our Christmas thing?
Instagram, but there'll be
both
newsletters throughout.
Yeah, so make sure basically, if you want to get involved, because it's going to be an offer that is interactive. I'll say no more, but you will be doing the choosing, and therefore please do make sure that you're following us on Instagram at @SewOverIt London, and also you're following us, you're on our mailing list. Maybe we can put a link to the mailing list up just as another option in case. I imagine most of you watching this are on our mailing list because you're here and you know that this is on, but just in case you're not, we had some Estelle kits that we launched on Monday? No, last week? Wednesday last week. And they sold out in 2 hours. And a lot of people were like, oh, sorry. And we were like, well, if you're on the newsletter, you'll get it soon. And often when we do those things, we do send them out early in the morning. But we're planning on doing some more Estelle kits as well. So worth signing up for the newsletter so you don't miss out on offers or things that are limited editions. Ah! Okay, so here we go. Ugh, itchy nose. So same seam allowance. I'm whizzing through it now. Whiz, whizzy whiz whiz. Also, another thing maybe to ask us, we can't always do them in the evening, but who preferred having this on in the evening? I'm sure the likes of Lorianne and those on the West Coast would say definitely, because you don't have to get up at silly o'clock. But if there's anyone else that would prefer these in an evening, let us know, because we can try and at least do a few more. Okay, so we'll trim that. And then we do the same. So start at the sleeve, pin that right sides together. So in terms of how long this has taken, I started sewing this, it was already cut out, but I started sewing this at 12:30. I did about 20 minutes before I went live. So I've been waffling, which slows me down, and chatting also to Chloe. So it's not been a full hour of sewing, and I've pretty much got the whole thing done. Well, not the whole thing done, but you can see this is something you could make in a morning or an afternoon. It's not a full long day project. If you've already cut it out and prepped and stuff, then it does really come together nice and quickly. Especially if you're using an easier fabric. I think, you know, it's probably a 4-hour project, three-hour project if you're fast. I always like those lengths of projects. I know it's nice to vary the type of project you're doing. Like sometimes it's nice to make things that are a bit meatier and you really get stuck into over a weekend. But also, I always think it's good to point out when things are quick, because we all have very busy lives. And it's also satisfying if you know you can make something in a morning. Okay. Da-da! We are now done. Right,
Ready for a try on?
we're ready for a try on, Chloe. Come on back. Come on back. Let's move this out of the way without knocking over the tea. There we go. We turn it the right way around for you. Just about.
It looks almost done, doesn't it? That's so
Yeah.
quick.
Da, 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 drum roll. She's slightly out of shot, but she's gonna just awkwardly get into it out of shot.
Da, da, da.
Yay! Okay, you can't see at all.
Let's see me.
Let's change the angle. There we go.
That
Fab.
looks lovely.
And obviously it's going to become wider there because
Yeah.
when the band's on. But yeah,
yeah, so I'll have
really
a band
nice.
there.
Lovely pockets. There we go. Great. Fab. Well, thank you so much, guys, for watching. Thank you to Chloe and to Rosie for answering your questions. Chloe's now admiring herself in the in the mirror. I'll be back next week doing. We haven't decided who's I'm doing next week, or have we? Jemima. I'll be sewing for Jemima next week, making the Nancy dress. So tune in at 1 o'clock on Wednesday for that. Nice to see you all. Have a lovely week and see you soon. Bye.